In retrospect, I should have paused that last video and just unpaused it, but I scrambled to, so I just kind of exited out of it. Anyway, that second bomb blast, Um, I remember a second bomb blast, or one of the three. I think there's three. One of them, I don't remember what order it was in actually, but it was the second one I remember. Was the was it was like a it was like a bubble of light that was expanding. It wasn't like a mushroom cloud like the first one. The first one looked kind of like a little rinky-dink mushroom cloud. It wasn't cartoonish. It was just kind of like a smoke cloud that was raising upwards, and yet you guys kind of knew that it was from a nuke. The second one, however, looked like a bubble of light that was just expanding, but you could also see that outside of the bubble, trees were getting uprooted and thrown away. So you knew it was a bomb blast and not just visual. And I remember expanding very, very fast. It was expanding very, very fast, and I remember that uh, it was off in the distance, but it wasn't becoming any less of a bubble. Like you would think that after a certain distance, it wouldn't look like a bubble. It'd start to look like just air moving, but it just looked like a bubble that wasn't stopping. It was just continuously growing, and I think that was another nuclear bomb going off probably. Um, and that I is all that I can remember. I have a terrible memory, and again, I really wish I had written it down back then, but even if I did write it down, it would have been on a device that's long since died because I've ran through so many devices, unfortunately. But there was also a third bomb that went off, and I don't remember how that was different from the second. I think it was just like again, like there was three bombs. And then I remember again, this is all out of order. I don't know what order it would have been in, and it's very fragmented, and I don't even know if I'm seeing the same person's perspective. But I remember also being a guy that hid behind a toilet, which then broke from the impact, but it saved me enough to where I was alive, but I was injured and in pain, and everything was just ashes, and you couldn't see anything. You couldn't see. You couldn't. It was painful. You couldn't. It was just ashes everywhere, and yeah, there wasn't much there. Also debris. I think I can't remember if it was rubble and debris, but I remember the ashes for sure. I might have been impaled on a shard from the toilet. I'm not sure, but I remember the toilet was a firm enough cover to protect me enough to survive. And I remember there being people around me. I don't recognize who they were, but I think they were trying to treat me like some kind of. They had to have been first responders. I don't know. Now that I'm older, I'm thinking maybe they were angels or something, maybe not. But they seemed like just people who were out there in the wasteland looking for survivors. And I somehow just knew that I wasn't going to survive, that I wasn't going to make it. Uh, but there, I don't know. That was a dark one. I don't want to think about it. But and then I also remember another piece of the dream where I was looking at people in suits. I think yes, it was people in suits, and they had lots of bodyguards around them. And there may have been just one guy who's responsible for it, like more than the others, but all of them were, I think. And these people in suits were I somehow just knew and understood that these people were responsible for everything that happened, and that it was for the worst reasons imaginable. Like it was just awful. I just somehow knew that they were pure evil, that they were responsible for all of the bad things, and that it was not for any good reason. And they were cheering or something, and I just remember being so absolutely enraged. It was just unfathomable rage that drove me to attack one of them because I just thought, I don't know what I was thinking, but it was just I had to kill that guy or something for what he did. I don't know how I was in there. It was like just a soldier guy who just randomly appeared in a room where I shouldn't have been, I guess. But I I remember being so angry at that guy that I tried to kill him, even though I knew that I would get shot down and killed before I could even reach him. And obviously, that's then what immediately happened. Of course, I tried to, and I got shot a whole bunch of times, like 40 times at once, like 40 times by a bunch of different people. And I remember just being very in despair. I think I would describe it as fear, despair, anger, hate, just all of the bad things that you can think of. And there wasn't any hope left. There was just no hope. And I remember after that, I woke up, and I remember this was actually very weird because I woke up screaming. I was 12 years old, kind of loud, but I woke up out of my bed screaming. I woke up from the dream mid scream. I was actually yelling. I and I was actually panting really heavily and sweating from that. I didn't. And then I got up, and I remember the very first thing I did is I left that room I was sleeping in. I went to the living room where my family was, and I opened up the curtains to check and see if there was a nuclear bomb blast in the distance. This could have just been my child brain being scared of nukes by the concept of them, but that is possible. But it felt very real. It felt real in the dream. I remember. Like, it wasn't just like a textbook knowledge of it. It was very yikes. And that's about as much as I can remember from it. This wasn't. I didn't get any details like a year when this might happen. I didn't get any context on who the people are, or even what nations were doing what, or who I even was in any given circumstance, or when any of the things happened, or what order they happened in. It was it was like it was like I was someone with dementia trying to remember the past in a way. You know what I mean? It's like trying to remember something with severe dementia. I I do, but these are the few things I do remember from that second dream, and I remember years on, I thought about it and I wanted to compare which of the two dreams are more extreme because these are the two most extreme dreams I ever had. One was easily the worst I've ever had, and to this day, now that I'm 24, it was still the single worst dream that I have ever had, and the other dream was the single best dream I've ever had, and to this day, while I'm 24 years old, it is still the best dream that I have ever slept. No, still the best dream I've ever had. I think I had like maybe one other dream years later, like the first one that was good, but it was different. It was different, maybe not as quite as magical. I don't remember, but in that one I was running from like police or something. I don't know, but or I thought they were police. I was running from someone. I didn't look at them, but I remember that I thought about it and I thought, which of these two things are more extreme? Which one is worse? And I remember thinking to myself on it and meditating on it, and I came to the conclusion, decided maybe it was biased because I wanted it to be true, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was, and I was. But I remember that the conclusion that I drew from my thinking about it, the just two dreams, was that if that good dream was the best thing, and that bad dream was the worst thing, then the greatest good is more great than the worst bad is bad. The greatest good is more good than the greatest bad is bad. Does that make sense? It's like there's a limit on it. The good part is just, if I had to put a number on it, it's just bigger. There's the good is more good than bad is bad in concept. It's a difficult thing to explain, but so hopefully that's reassuring to someone. Maybe not, but I've done it. I did the thing. I've told this testimony of a couple dreams I had when I was a kid. Not saying it was biblical, not saying that's a prophecy. All I'm saying is that these are dreams which I have not talked about my whole life to anyone, even to my close family members, but have never forgotten. And I remember these dreams very well. Maybe not very well, but very well, considering, it's been like 12 years. I mean, half my lifespan so far. I'm 24. It's half my life. Considering that, I think that I remember him by that standard pretty well. And now, anyone who finds this video, thanks. I don't know who you are, but may God lead you to this video, because I'm very embarrassed about sharing this, and I'm not gonna try pushing it on people. But if anyone sees it and finds something useful about it, cool. I mean, I can't put together what it means, but hopefully it helps someone. Like, it wasn't exactly the Daniel dream or whatever. I didn't have anyone to explain it to me. Frankly, I just think like I'm crazy, or remembering a dream that's unrelated. But now I've said it, I've got it out there. It's off my chest, and I don't have to worry about it. Hopefully. Bye. I gotta get in before the storm hits, because there's a storm that's gonna hit. Bye.